Warning: this video contains content that may be unsettling for some viewers. It explores dark themes and intense situations that are not suitable for the lighthearted. Viewer discretion is advised. The last shift. I took the job because I needed the money. Working as a night security guard at an old factory on the edge of town wasn't my idea of a dream job, but it was quiet, and I could study on my breaks. The place had been built in the 40s, and it showed creaky floors, flickering lights, and that constant smell of damp metal that never seemed to go away. I'd been working there for a few months, and the nights were usually quiet. There was something about that silence, though, that started to wear on me. I felt like I wasn't really alone, as if something was there, watching. But it wasn't until my last night shift that things took a turn. It was around 2 a.m. when I first heard it. A faint, echoing sound, like footsteps on the far end of the building. It wasn't unusual to hear the building settle, but these footsteps were too deliberate, too rhythmic to be the usual creaks and groans of an old factory. I thought it might be one of the other guards, even though I hadn't seen anyone on the sign-in sheet. I shrugged it off and continued my rounds, sweeping my flashlight over the factory's deserted corridors. Shadows danced on the walls, shifting as I moved, but I kept telling myself it was just my imagination. Still, I couldn't shake that feeling that I was being watched. The footsteps started again, closer this time. They echoed in the hallway behind me, faint but unmistakable. I stopped, holding my breath, straining to listen. The steps stopped too. I turned, shining my flashlight down the long hallway, half expecting to see someone standing there. But there was nothing. Just that empty, yawning darkness. Feeling a shiver creep up my spine, I picked up the pace, heading toward the break room. I thought maybe I'd call the main office, but I didn't want to look like an idiot reporting ghost footsteps. So I sat in the break room, sipping coffee, trying to calm down. The silence felt oppressive, pressing down on me. Then, the lights in the break room flickered. The dim bulbs buzzed and crackled before going out entirely, plunging the room into total darkness. I cursed, fumbling for my flashlight. As I flicked it on, I felt a sudden chill in the room, like the temperature had dropped by 10 degrees in an instant. My breath misted in the cold air, which made no sense. It was the middle of summer. And then I heard it. A whisper. Faint, just barely audible. But it wasn't in English, though. The voice was deep, guttural, muttering in some language I didn't recognize. It came from somewhere in the break room, though when I shined my flashlight around, I was still alone. "Is someone there?" I called, my voice shaking. Silence. Then a scraping sound, like nails dragging across metal. It came from the hallway just outside the break room. I inched toward the door, heart pounding, my flashlight trembling in my hand. I couldn't see anything in the darkened hallway, but I could feel something. That awful sensation of being watched had returned, stronger than ever. Against my better judgment, I stepped out into the hallway. My flashlight barely cut through the darkness, illuminating only a few feet ahead. Then I saw it. A shadow, just at the edge of my light. It was wrong, distorted, too tall and too thin to be a person, with long claw-like fingers dragging along the walls, leaving deep scratches in the metal. I froze, my mind racing. The figure didn't move, just stood there at the edge of the light, as if it were waiting for something. I backed away slowly, my pulse hammering in my ears, and then it spoke.
"Why are you here?"
It sounded almost human, but hollow and empty, like the voice itself was coming from a distant, dark place.
"Leave."
The flashlight flickered, and the shadow vanished. I spun around, desperate to find an exit. The factory felt like it had become a maze, the familiar hallways twisting and narrowing. I could hear it behind me, its footsteps echoing louder. I ran, ducking down hallways and turning corners, trying to shake whatever was following me. I rounded a corner and nearly crashed into the emergency exit door. Relief flooded over me, and I pushed the door open. But it wouldn't budge. I threw my weight against it, but it felt like something was holding it shut from the other side. Behind me, the footsteps slowed. I felt a presence at my back, looming, like it was breathing down my neck. I dared a glance over my shoulder and saw those claw-like fingers reaching for me, stretching impossibly long. In a panic, I raced up the stairs to the factory's second floor. There was a small window there that looked out over the parking lot, and I prayed it might be my way out. I reached the window, but it too was jammed shut. I slammed my fist against it, desperate, when I saw something moving in the reflection. My own face stared back, but behind me was the shadow, its empty eyes boring into mine, a twisted smile spreading across its face. I couldn't breathe. My own reflection grinned, mirroring the shadow as if I were the one watching myself. Then I heard it again, that low, guttural whisper.
Let me out.
The whisper grew louder, filling my head, drowning out all thought. I felt my body moving, my hand reaching toward the shadow, as if I were compelled. I tried to pull back, but it was like I was no longer in control. And then, just as suddenly as it had started, the noise stopped. The reflection was gone, and I was alone in the dark. The factory lights flickered back on, and the heavy silence returned. My hand shook as I realized the door to the emergency exit was wide open. I didn't look back as I ran out of that place, my heart hammering, adrenaline carrying me to my car. I sped out of the parking lot, leaving that cursed factory behind. I never went back. The next morning, I called my supervisor and quit. I heard a few weeks later that someone else took the night shift, but he only lasted one night. The rumors started after that. Stories of strange shadows, whispers in the dark, things moving on their own. Sometimes I wonder if that shadow is still there, lurking in the corners of the factory, waiting for someone else to come along. And I wonder what would have happened if I'd reached out, or if I'd let it out. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and comment your opinion on it. I will see you very soon again. And remember, always keep an eye over your shoulder.